Well, Bebe Krimmer, whose work is the basis for Ofer Ben-Amots' new piece, was a longtime friend, a wonderful artist, a great teacher and mentor and advisor to other artists, and was a very, very dynamic person. Like one of my business associates, she probably had 500 best friends. But she made everyone feel that you were her best friend, which is one of her delights.
Our dear friend Bebe Krimmer, a very important artist here, we wanted to give her a birthday gift. And then ultimately it became a tribute to her and to her artwork, because she unfortunately died in the process of all of this happening. But the beauty was that she had met Ofer Ben-Amots.
It was a wonderful coincidence to meet Bebe. We were sitting on this very narrow sofa with my wife together, and I was worried that I would disturb the person next to me, so I wanted to move, and suddenly she appeared, and she was so skinny and delicate. She said, "It's okay, don't move, because I don't take much space."
When we talked about how and where we were going to premiere Montage Music, Greg and I decided that it should be here at our home, surrounded by Bebe's artwork that we owned, and we could project the visuals here, but people could also see the original pieces, and it would be in a beautiful venue for chamber music.
Ofer can write some very challenging music, and one is the movement based on Bebe's mixed media piece from this Constellation series. So it's a big rectangular piece, and everyone who ever saw it hanging in our home always said, including Bebe, "This is really musical. This looks like music. Look at the way it moves and flows." And I believe Ofer had the same reaction.
I've never worked with an artwork like that before, really getting the direct impact and trying to understand the concept. There is the very dark, endless kind of space that is very mystical and nobody knows what's behind it. And this dark space is kind of like a grid. And so you look at it and you see all these lines and all these forms, they're exactly geometrical. And then this clashes with something that's so colorful and so chaotic. I call it fantasy Milky Way, like a galaxy that you don't know what to do with it because it's in the middle of this darkness. And I started imagining, how am I going to do this piece that was supposed to be the first movement at that point. So I imagine like a spaceship going and then stopping in each one of these colorful planets. And then start some kind of exotic music that belongs to this color and belongs to this planet, and then it goes on to another place, and there comes another music. And so on, this almost like a rondo, comes a very, very fast part, like velocity, and then it stops and does something. My love for visual art, going to museums and looking at visual art forever and finding the connection between this and music has always been very, very strong.
This is an interaction between the composer and now the musicians and the audience and the work of art. It's a conversation between the composer and the work of art, back and forth, inspired by the original piece of visual art. So they're looking at the artwork in a different way, and they're listening to the music in a different way because of the connection in the composition. And that, I think, becomes a third art form.
everyone was quite intimidated by velocity of rotation. Ofer said, I'm worried that the musicians are all going to hate me because it's really fast and it's really technical and challenging. And I looked at it and I read through the whole thing and I thought, yes, you're right, Ofer. We made a lot of changes, not rewriting the piece in particular, but Ofer rewrote phrasing, he wrote some of the tempo markings.
Yum, pam. Yes, that's exactly. You can shorten your last note of 225 a little bit. I want the piano to be very delicate.
I think the composer, Ofer Ben-Amots, is extremely amazing at catching in the colors, the style, the joyfulness of the painting, or the sorrow. And I also think he put in colors of his own heritage in it, and which I find even more interesting.
Very challenging, but worth the effort in my experience of playing a lot of contemporary music, that sometimes the challenges are so much that you can't really enjoy the outcome. It's just, you're just struggling to get through. But I must say with Ofer's music, there's a reason for it. I understand what he's getting at.
It's a major work. It is really fun to practice. I love practicing it. But to put it together in an ensemble, it's very challenging and you have to be on your toes. And you'll see that when I have to concentrate, I sit straight up.
I love the interaction. I love the interaction with the players. I like how the players interact with the audience, and through the players, I interact with the audience. So it's all about human connection. I just love that part of composition. Yes. And this human connection, part of it is also the difficult part of dealing with different kind of players. Choo-choo train.
Yeah, exactly.
So one player may say, oh, that's all easy, I can do it. And another player says, oh, that's impossible. Good, swing it. Swing it. That's what we need to do. Yes.
Bebe's Blues was based on two pieces from Bebe's middle period of her Santa Fe work, which was mixed media, which are covered with encaustic, which you might be able to tell from the screen. It gives them a delightful sense of depth that you wouldn't have. Encaustic, of course, is wax that's applied on top of the painting or the mixed media piece. In this whole series, there were a lot of elements of nature, so a broad array of elements here. The butterflies, which recur throughout her career, in this case, evoking, hopefully, something in regard to her feeling about nature. And in Ofer's work, he used these to tie into Bebe's interest in jazz.
Oh, jazz. That's a tough one for me. I'm born in Israel. I've always loved jazz, adore jazz, and I can listen to it for hours. But touching it, that's not part of who I am. That's not, it's a sacred territory. I'm not going there. And suddenly I thought, okay, why not try? I've been in the United States for over 30 years. Maybe it's time to be a little bit more American. So I started listening to a lot of stuff and decided to go for the old-time New Orleans style. Knowing that Bebe came from Chicago and she probably was very fond of this style. And of course, through my own filters, it became probably it's a little Jewish and it's a little bit different than the usual jazz, but it's very catchy. It's very fun. I hope it's fun for the players.
That originally started out as a tango, but then the more Ofer knew about Bebe and her love of traditional jazz, old-timey jazz, it became Bebe's blues and really New Orleans jazz.
Ofer, in this case, was able to connect the visual images and the information. She's a great, fun artist, and she also loved jazz and blues, and out comes this great piece, the movement of Bebe's Blues, which is a real showstopper. Bebe's work, unlike many artists, evolved constantly. After her death, I had the opportunity to help catalog 62 years of her artwork, and the evolution from style to style, which all made perfect sense, was quite remarkable. The earliest work that I saw of the Santa Fe period was the Notation series. These were very autobiographical. So her aunt's stenography book, her grandmother's Japanese postcard collection. Another aunt sold academic textbooks, and there were letters chopped up from that aunt. So this series, which was quite vast in number, was completely autobiographical. Her art in her home is everywhere. You see it in different light, different times of the day, from a different emotional standpoint of your own, and it continues to change and evolve in front of your eyes. And of course, implicit in that is my memory of her and our really deep friendship.
In the very opening and the very ending of the piece, there's a beautiful clarinet. It's like Bebe, Bebe, and Ofer very specifically, B-E-B-E. He's using those specific pitches.
So that can be rotating B to E like a pendulum between these two notes, and above that I would build entire other music. I'm a bit sorry that I didn't get to befriend her more and get to know her more as much as Greg was a very good friend of her, but I feel that through the work on the music, I got to meet her a little closer and get more into her life and take part in some things that she did. And what she left for us is the great art and great inspiration for years to come. A really wonderful, very charismatic woman.
You don't know what you're going to get when you commission new pieces of music. You hope that you're going to love it. You hope that it's going to turn out really well. And gosh, we have this great new piece of music, and what a wonderful gift that is.
Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-